Victims file them. I'll go wake her up now. Alexei promised. You bring those girls home. To the presidential palace, Cedric asked. It was, a maid, okay. Alexei was embarrassed that he had to explain it to Cedric. I still wonder how you still managed to win an election. Cedric laughed. It was probably because despite Alexei's womanizing habits he still showed up to do his job and looked good doing it. As a result his constituents were willing to look the other way. Yeah, yay, bye. Alexei clearly was not willing to extend the conversation. Cedric went back in after his conversation with Alexei. Although Adriana's parents had arrived an hour ago, Adriana refused to go out to speak to her parents. She was mad at the whole family. Cedric had his fair share of disagreements with Gracia in the past. Even Charles initially did not want him to marry Adriana, but despite all that they still allowed the wedding to continue and they only objected to the marriage because they didn't want Adriana to suffer. It was true that most of the time Gracia belittled Cedric. That was because in her eyes Cedric did nothing but rely on his wife's income. Cedric didn't like it when Adriana and her parents fought. It was because Cedric knew that they were just both looking out for each other. Chapter 58. Adriana was feeling much better the next day, although she hadn't forgotten what her relatives had done the day before. She wasn't mad at her parents anymore, just at everyone else. She always placed the Hernandez family first, and the only time she thought about herself was when she married for love over profit. She was looking out the window, deep in thought when she heard Cedric call her name. What is it? Adriana didn't hear what he had said exactly. I was asking if Islands Inc. was having a press event today. Cedric pointed at the building they were approaching. No, nothing is on schedule, and they wouldn't be waiting outside if this was a planned press event. Adriana was equally curious about the reporters waiting outside the building. Why don't I drop you off at the basement and park the car at Morco? That crowd doesn't look too friendly. Of course Cedric already knew what was going on. He made the news, since Adriana was a member of the Hernandez family and was a senior member of the management. The reporters would definitely try to get answers from her. That's a good idea, Adriana said as she scrolled through her phone to find out what was happening. Oh my gosh, Cedric, Adriana gasped in shock. Uncle Frederick and John are all over the news and social media. Of course Cedric already knew this. Ram and Alexei both called while he was waiting for Adriana. Katerina even took a step further and attached her name as the lawyer to make sure that no one in their right mind would take the case. I guess it's gonna be a busy day for you at work today, Cedric said. As a member of the Hernandez family and a member of the senior managers, Adriana would most probably be given some of Frederick's or John's work while the issues were being settled. After dropping Adriana off at the basement, Cedric asked Ian to reserve him an additional parking spot at Morco. Currently all of his cars were parked at the office while Veronica was working on his new house. At his office Cedric turned on the news to see the damage Ram and Alexei had managed to cause. Female reporter, I am here now outside of Islands Inc. and we are still waiting for the official statement of Mr. Frederick and Mr. John Hernandez. Everyone was shocked when international lawyer Katerina Sebastian filed both sexual harassment and bribery cases against the father and son duo this morning. Male anchor, do we know if other members of the Hernandez family were involved? Female reporter, the report was very clear. Only Mr. Frederick and Mr. John was part of this case. Male anchor, and are there any signs of a change in management in Islands Inc.? Who are the relatives there that are most likely to take the reins? Female reporter, based on our inside intel, right now there are quite a few immediate relatives working in major roles. Of course we have Mr. Frederick's two other children, but I think the shareholders will most likely rule them out. Mr. Frederick's younger brother, Mr. Matthew Hernandez, is currently the senior vice president for operations. His daughter Miss Margaret is a senior manager in the finance department. We also have Miss Adriana Hernandez Reyes, who was recently appointed as the head for partnerships at Islands Inc. If you will recall, Miss Adriana has recently been linked with the heir to the Reyes group, although we have gathered reports that it's not true. Mr. Frederick's younger sister, Kathy, is the head of the PR department. But she has in the past expressed that she had no intention of taking on a bigger role. At Islands Inc., we are still waiting on more news if any of these family members will be potential replacements for Mr. Frederick and his son. Male anchor, we'll wait for an update from you. Cedric grinned at the news. There were still mentions of the rumors surrounding Adriana, but it was only as a side note. He knew if he couldn't change the narrative, he could at least drown it out. Mr. Cedric, I just got a call from Mr. Ray, Lawrence's assistant. He is on his way with Mr. Ramabad, Mr. Alexei Sebastian, and Miss Katerina Sebastian, Camilla said as she brought over the documents they needed Cedric to sign. Behind her was Ian, ready to give his report. Sir, the news about Mr. Frederick and Mr. John has created waves on social media. We've also seeded the information that Mr. John has been spreading fake rumors on your wife. Many people are already cursing him online. I expect the Hernandez family won't let this issue last. They will probably change the president tonight, Ian reported. Good, make sure they don't get out of this easily. If we need to issue a statement, Adriana as the Reyes group, make sure to inform me. Maybe we can use Ayana to make a statement, Cedric instructed. After a while Ray, Ram, Alexei, and Katerina arrived. I bet the Hernandez family is trying to figure out how they managed to offend Katerina. Ray laughed as they entered Cedric's office. Well, we did have the incident at the lobby. Katerina giggled, remembering how she threw Asia out the door. I doubt Frederick Hernandez told anyone about that. It's too embarrassing, Alexei told his friends. Will you be using your power now, Cedric? Ray asked. I need to give the Hernandez family as many chances as they can get. They are Adriana's family after all, but I am not a saint. If they go too far I will just apologize to Adriana, Cedric explained. Cedric's phone suddenly rang and he picked it up. From the tone of his voice his friends immediately knew he was talking to Adriana. Ian, Camilla, Cedric called and his two assistants came in. I'll be out the rest of the day. Keep an eye on the news and make sure nothing delays the expansion. Move all my meetings to tomorrow. I'll try to come in earlier. The two assistants nodded and left. What happened? Katerina asked. The Hernandez family just called for an emergency meeting. I want to be there for Adriana, Cedric told them. Okay, we'll go then, Alexei said, bidding Cedric goodbye and dragging his sister, who was still comfortably sipping her coffee. Hey Ram, Cedric called out, there is a reporter from 3 Stars News named John. He's assigned to all news about us. You might want to hire him. He figured out the watches, plus he warned me that people were getting extra curious about the Reyes heir. I just underestimated his warning. Interesting. Alright, I think I have the perfect job for him. Ram nodded as he went out. Ray also said goodbye and left with his friends. Cedric packed up and went to pick Adriana up. When he got to Islands Inc.'s building, the crowd outside seemed to have doubled. Some activists were also protesting, asking Islands Inc. to remove its boss that harassed women. Cedric grinned. It seemed the issue had taken a life of its own. He went over to the basement to pick Adriana up. When Adriana jumped in, she was in a jacket and a baseball cap. Are you sure you won't get into trouble for this? Adriana asked. I'm sure. What's with the get-up? Cedric looked at her from head to toe. There were some paparazzi found camping behind some cars here in the basement earlier. I just wanted to play it safe, Adriana explained. As Cedric and Adriana rode off, one of Ram's well-positioned online reporters posted a photo of Adriana leaving the office in the middle of the day with an article speculating that the Hernandez family just called for an emergency meeting to change the management. Chapter 59. When Cedric and Adriana arrived at the old Hernandez house, it was chaos. Everyone was speaking at the same time. It seemed everyone except Frederick and his family had already arrived. Even Grandpa Hernandez was already in his place at the head of the table. If we do not address this, not only will it affect our stock prices, but people will start boycotting our products as well, one of Adriana's uncles said. Frederick has managed this company for years. We should trust him, Adriana's Aunt Kathy said in an attempt to defend her brother. How did Frederick manage to offend someone as powerful as Miss Katerina Sebastian? Another uncle asked. I'm sure Frederick has an explanation, Grandpa Hernandez said calmly as he looked up to check the time. It wasn't even lunch and he was already trying to save his company from his own son. Meanwhile Cedric and Adriana quietly took their seats. Despite the problems at hand, Adriana was glad that she wasn't the center of attention. Hey Adri, look at this, Cedric said, passing his phone over to her. He intentionally looked for the posts that were defending Adriana's reputation as well as the articles saying that John had made up rumors and encouraged the spread of rumors against Adriana. Wow, Adriana was surprised that people were rooting for her and defending her on social media. The Reyes group hasn't released a statement yet, but at this rate I don't think they have to. I guess your name cleared itself, Cedric said with a smile. He knew the rumors had been bothering Adriana for days now and he was willing to do anything to help her out. I'm sure Grandpa will be furious about this though. This doesn't help the case, Adriana said with a frown. They might ask me to release a statement about this. I think it will be drowned out by other issues, Cedric shrugged. A while later Frederick and his family arrived. They were downcast and you could clearly see the distress in John's eyes. Even Asia's eyes were red from crying. The only person in the family who didn't seem too bothered about what had happened was Henry Hernandez. He seemed rather calm and collected. When they finally took their seats, everyone quieted down. Grandpa Hernandez stood up and began to speak. As you are all probably aware by now, we all woke up to the news that Addie, Katerina, Sebastian has filed multiple sexual harassment cases and bribery cases against Frederick and John. Most of you went straight here after hearing the news. As a matter of fact, only one member of the Hernandez family actually went to the office today, and that was Adriana. Everyone's eyes turned to Adriana, who just nodded. Adriana, granddaughter, why don't you tell us the scene outside Islands Inc.? Grandpa Hernandez invited Adriana to speak. When I arrived this morning, there were already many reporters waiting outside the lobby. Although they were not violent, they were asking all the employees that were coming in if they knew anything about the issue. Luckily we saw the news before I could get out of the car, so I passed the basement entrance to get into work. By the time Cedric and I left the office, some members of the media had managed to sneak into the basement. They were however caught before they could try to get in. Outside the office however, there were more than just the reporters. There were protesters as well. Adriana recounted both what she and Cedric had seen as well as what the employees had told her. Frederick and John, we need to know, does Addie, Katerina Sebastian have any basis for her case? One of Frederick's cousins asked. How dare you doubt my dad? Asia shouted. Asia, it's a simple question. Let your dad answer it. Matthew Hernandez, Frederick's younger brother, asked. Matthew was quite different in terms of build and disposition from his older brother. He was tall, quite muscular for his age and quite good-looking. His attitude was closer to his younger brother Charles, who was calm in comparison to Frederick, who had a temper. Many people teased Frederick in their younger years that he must have been adopted since he looked and acted nothing like his younger siblings. Shouldn't we be focusing on how to successfully defend against this case? John asked. Is it true or not, John? That's all the family needs to know, another uncle asked. Dad, don't you trust me? Frederick asked, looking for help from his father. Frederick, answer their question. Grandpa Hernandez ordered his son. It's all true, Henry answered for his father and brother. Dad and John paid off some people to get projects and clearances. There were also a couple of female employees from my department that were supposed to file harassment cases but backed out after Dad and John threatened them. You disloyal dog, Frederick hit his son for telling the truth. It's not your son's fault, it's yours. Grandpa Hernandez scolded Frederick. I want you and your family out of this meeting, except Henry. Uncle, before you send John out, there is another accusation circulating the internet, one of Frederick's cousins said. What is it? Grandpa Hernandez asked. According to a reliable source, John is behind the rumors of Adriana's infidelity. Apparently he is even paying people to keep talking about Adriana and the Reyes heir. He looked at Adriana, who wore a frown and was holding on Cedric's hand. John, Frederick, not only did you do illegal things but you also had the gall to ruin your relative's name. Grandpa Hernandez asked. Everyone in this room wanted for Adriana to end up with the Reyes heir, John accused. We did, but we never spread rumors that Adriana was cheating on Cedric with the Reyes heir. Don't you know how that could impact our relationship with the Reyes group? Aunt Janine said. She was one of The people encouraging the rumors that the Reyes heir liked Adriana, but she never went as far as saying there was a relationship between them already. Out, the four of you, Grandpa. Hernandez commanded. Frederick, Celine, John, and Asia had no choice but to leave the room. Uncle, I think you need to find a replacement for Frederick. John should be removed from his position as well. One of Grandpa Hernandez's nephews suggested. Matthew, Grandpa Hernandez called his second son. Yes, Dad, Matthew asked. You've been working in Islands Inc. for almost as long as Frederick. You will take his place. When Grandpa Hernandez said this, no one argued with him. Matthew seemed to be a logical choice. I won't let you down, Dad. How about John's role? Matthew asked the old man. Study the job and see who would best fit the role. I would prefer a member of the family take on his job. So prioritize family first, Grandpa Hernandez said. Kathy, could you help me schedule a press conference for later this afternoon? Matthew asked his sister. Kathy nodded and stepped out to make arrangements. That's it, for now. You can all leave. Grandpa Hernandez dismissed everyone. When Cedric and Adriana got to the car, Adriana received a call from Margaret, asking her and Cedric to come back to the dining hall. Chapter 60. Adriana, Cedric, how is your marriage? Matthew Hernandez asked. In the dining hall, Adriana and Cedric were surprised to see Matthew, Margaret, and Grandpa Hernandez waiting for them. Stronger than ever, Uncle, Adriana answered, cautious now of what her family would do or say when it came to their marriage. That's good, Matthew Hernandez smiled. Adriana, issues aside, I think you've been an incredible asset to Islands Inc. Thank you, Uncle, Adriana said with a smile. I want you to take John's place as the VP for marketing and sales at Islands Inc. Matthew calmly announced. Are you sure, Uncle? Adriana stuttered. Yes, I think, out of everyone you are the most qualified, Matthew told his niece. Thank you, Uncle Matthew, Adriana said with a smile. This afternoon I will be having a press conference. I want you to be there, Cedric, as well. Aside from announcing that you are the new VP for marketing and sales, I also want to issue both a visual and verbal statement that your marriage is going strong, Matthew explained. Why do we need to issue a statement on our marriage? Adriana asked. With all the rumors going around, we want to clear your name. Not only will it help you be accepted by the staff, but it will also improve the prices of our shares, Matthew explained. Uncle Matthew, our marriage isn't even public knowledge, Cedric suddenly spoke up. Consider this press conference as us publicly acknowledging you, Matthew said in a less warmer tone. Despite his disapproval of Cedric, this was what they needed at the moment. We'll do it, Uncle, Adriana said. After they left the old Hernandez house, Adriana needed to finish things in the office. Cedric dropped her off and decided to just wait in Morco. After arriving in his office, he was surprised to see Ram and John the reporter. You don't have a schedule, Ram, Cedric complained. I can't see my friend when I want to. Besides, I have a plan I think you will like, Ram teased. Is that why John is here with you? Cedric said, pointing at the reporter. Yes, and you might like it. What if we released an exclusive interview with the Reyes heir? You could deny your relationship to Adriana there, Ram said. I'm not going to deny that Adriana is my wife or that I love her. That's lying, Ram, Cedric said. Why, it's the quickest way to clear her name, Ram explained. Because, when I do announce who I am, people will find out that I really am married to Adriana, and when Adriana finds out before the public, she will be mad at me for denying that we are married or that I love her. Are you married, John? Cedric asked the unsuspecting reporter. Yes, sir, John replied. How much trouble would you get into if you told the public that you didn't love your wife and that you weren't actually married to her? Cedric asked. I'd probably sleep in the garden, sir, John said with a nervous laugh. You aren't married, Ram, so don't assume to know what you're trying to get me to say, Cedric said, ending the conversation. All right, I won't. Oh, and what's up with this press conference the Hernandez family is having? Ram asked. Islands Inc. is changing its president and CEO to Matthew Hernandez. He's the second son of Adriana's grandfather. They will also be replacing John as VP for marketing and sales with Adriana. They want us to issue a statement that our marriage is as strong as ever, Cedric explained to Ram. Can we get a comment from the Reyes heir on that? Ram grinned. It looked too Cedric that he had a plan. I guess as me, I am happy that I am happily married to my wife. Cedric laughed at his statement. Sir, John more or less had an idea on what to write, but he was waiting for Ram's approval that he could say it out loud. Ram nodded in approval. We can say, we got the statement of the Reyes heir and he said he is happy that Cedric Reyes and Adriana Hernandez found their soulmates and he wishes them many good years to come. John looked at the two men before him to see if this comment would be acceptable. Run it, it won't get Seed into trouble, and when Adriana looks back at it she will think of it as a loving and sweet gesture. Ram said, giving his approval. Before I forget Seed, Ayana and Veronica had an idea. Cedric sighed and leaned back. What is it? They want to spread a rumor that you are like Alexei. Ram laughed after telling Cedric about the girl's idea. They've already spread it, haven't they? Cedric massaged his temples. His sister was going to be the death of him. Yeah, they kind of spread it this morning, Ram said slowly. If my wife believes this in the future, I'm gonna cut my sister's shopping allowance. Cedric was mad, but he could do nothing about the rumors the girls decided to spread. Knowing Cedric was no longer in a good mood, Ram made an exit with John. Sir, Ian knocked. When Cedric told him to come in, Ian came in with an invitation. Sir, this is from Islands Inc. It's an invitation for you to attend the press con. Later, Ian placed the invite on his desk. Who do these Hernandezes want? Me. Cedric laughed. Tell them I have meetings the whole day, but I will release a statement based on what happens during the press conference. When Adriana sent Cedric a message that she was free to go, Cedric asked Ian to give him the keys to the cheapest car he owned. It was an Audi R8. He also changed into one of his more formal suits that Ayana had bought for him. When Cedric arrived at the basement of Islands Inc., he had to go down to pull Adriana into the car since she didn't know the car he was using. Where did you get this? And what are you wearing? Adriana asked. It's my congratulatory gift to you on your promotion, Cedric announced. It's also part of my promotion package. As for my suit, I have one provided by the office for special events. Quote. The car had been in the basement parking of More Company for over a month now, and Cedric never used it, so it still looked brand new. This might be better than Asia's car. You know she got it as a gift from Mark on her birthday, and you look much more handsome than that man-child Mark Chu, Adriana said as they drove to the hotel. Islands Inc. had booked a function room in Constellations Resort. Blank. Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server, https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. 61 Chapter 61. Blank. Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server, https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Blank. Islands Inc. had decided that aside from the traditional media they would invite bloggers as well, so there were over 100 members of the press and bloggers in the venue by the time Adriana and Cedric arrived. Uncle Matthew was already there when they got to the waiting room. Are you nervous? Matthew asked Adriana. Just a little, Uncle Matthew, Adriana said with a smile. Adri, did you see this? It's the latest rumor about the Reyes heir, Margaret said, waving her phone. Not yet. What is it? Adriana asked. Well, it says that according to a source close to the Reyes heir, the young man has quite an appetite, not unlike his good friend the young Congressman Alexander Sebastian, someone who knows the Reyes heir says he likes to rotate women. What a shock, Adri, Margaret gasped as she read the news. When Cedric heard what Margaret said, he wanted to give Ayana and Veronica a call and scold them. That's why I'm glad I have Cedric, Adriana boasted. With what Adriana said, he had half the mind to forgive Ayana and Veronica. Do you think the press will ask about this? Margaret asked her cousin. They probably will, Adriana answered. What will you answer? Margaret was worried that the cheating rumors would be brought up because of this. I'll say that every day and every moment I choose Cedric. He can be poor and ugly, but I will always choose my Cedric, Adriana answered as she stared into Cedric's eyes. You better say it that way. It gave me goosebumps just watching you two. Also, Cedric, nice get up. You actually look passable today, Margaret interrupted the moment as Adriana giggled at what she had just said. Matthew, Adriana, Cedric, it's time. Kathy Hernandez came in and called them. The host welcomed everyone and called Kathy Hernandez up to the stage. Adriana's Aunt Kathy then spoke about how the family will be investigating the cases filed against Frederick and John Hernandez and how the father and son duo will be taking some personal time off. Due to this sudden change, the family has decided to put Matthew Hernandez as the new president and CEO of Islands Inc. At that the crowd applauded. Many of the employees that had come to the press conference were people who had in the past worked with Matthew Hernandez and were loyal to him. Matthew stood on the podium and thanked everyone for their support. He gave a quick speech before finally getting to the part where he announced Adriana's promotion. Adriana was very nervous with the announcement. She was worried that people would think she was too young or too inexperienced for her role. She held Cedric's hand tightly. Cedric could sense his wife was nervous. He knew she had nothing to be worried about, aside from her being more than capable of her new role. She also had him. He would move mountains just to see her succeed, and he wanted the world to see how incredible a woman his wife actually was. To increase her credibility, Cedric had planned a little surprise with the sisters. It was also a way for him and his friends to show that Islands Inc. was not the problem, rather it was Frederick Hernandez and his son. When they heard Matthew Hernandez announce Adriana as the new VP for marketing and sales, Adriana and Cedric slowly climbed up the steps smiling. "Who's that? He's so good looking," some of the female employees exclaimed as they saw Cedric go up on stage. For the first time in quite a while, Cedric had dressed up and fixed himself up. "That can't be Miss Adriana's husband. When did he become so good looking? He looks like some rich heir. That can't be him." "It is him. Look, same smile and same look when he looks at Miss Adriana." The press were enjoying the comments of the employees as they took photos of Cedric and Adriana up on stage together. Adriana gave a quick speech thanking her family and promising the employees that she will work hard with them. After Adriana's speech, they were led to some seats on the stage for the question and answer portion of the press conference. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure all of you are excited to ask your questions, so we will be opening the floor to them. We would also like to request that everyone avoid any personal questions." The first person came up to the mic. Adriana couldn't see who it was clearly due to the lights on stage, but she could hear the members of the audience gasping and whispering among themselves. First of all, Adriana, congratulations. Adriana adjusted her position and was surprised to see four extremely well dressed young ladies. It was the sisters, less Ayana, who couldn't come home in time. No wonder the audience was confused. Just this morning, Katerina Sebastian had practically declared Frederick and John Sebastian as persona non grata. And now she was holding a microphone, congratulating Adriana. "Thanks, Katerina," Adriana was inclined to say. Nicole suddenly grabbed the mic from Katerina and spoke. "We just wanted to say that whatever Katerina did does not involve you or Islands Inc. We just believe that women should have a safe and comfortable workplace, and that men who put women in harm's way at work should be responsible for their actions. Also, Saints Hospitals will be ordering all of our uniforms and patient gowns from Islands Inc. I hope for a fruitful partnership in the future." Nicole looked proudly to the stage. Everyone thought she was looking at Adriana. In reality, it was like her telling Cedric, "See, I can do it." Nicole then handed the mic to Veronica, who wanted to laugh at her friend. "As a gift to my good friend Adriana, I'd like to offer a collaboration with Islands Inc. I will design all of its flagship stores. And although I am not a fashion designer, I am also open to houseware collaboration." The audience was shocked. Adriana had not only secured a partnership worth millions with Saints Hospitals, the largest private hospital chain in the country, but a collaboration with Veronica, and anything you placed Veronica's name on was sure to make a fortune. After Nicole and Veronica said their part, the four sisters just left and everyone was silent. Cedric noticed John in the crowd and nodded to him. The reporter quickly understood what Cedric meant and took the mic. "Mr. Matthew, what are your plans for Islands Inc. in the future?" John's question seemed to wake the audience up from their daze, and the reporters finally began to ask questions about the plans for Islands Inc. in the future, until one reporter suddenly asked about the rumors. "Miss Adriana, please enlighten us on the status of your marriage. As you can see, I've brought my husband with me. We would actually like to issue a joint statement," Adriana said, looking at Cedric. "Adriana Hernandez and I have been happily married for the past 5 years. Our marriage was not initially published as we did not see the need to." "What? mattered, and what still matters is that we love each other. I have complete faith and trust in my wife. Cedric had prepared his speech in advance, and it was even checked by the Reyes Group's PR head. The reporters, however, continued to probe. What is your reaction to the rumors regarding the Reyes heir having a lot of women? Adriana smiled. It was a question Margaret asked earlier. She looked at her husband and answered. There has always been only one man that has mattered to me. Every day and every moment I choose Cedric. He can be poor and ugly, but I will always choose my Cedric. As for the man you are asking me about, he is nothing but a business partner, and I wish him the best. When everyone saw the way Adriana and Cedric looked at each other, they knew that there was no point in questioning Adriana's loyalty to her husband. Chapter 62. Blank. 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 Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server. https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Blank. 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 After the press conference, Cedric drove Adriana home in their new car. When they got home, Gracia was ecstatic, talking about how Adriana stole the press conference and how all of her friends were now sucking up to her. Mom, it's been a long day, and I'm quite tired. Cedric and I will go rest first. All right, Adriana said with a smile as she led Cedric up to their room. Right after Cedric closed the door behind him, Adriana hugged him tightly. Are you all right? Cedric asked. Yes, I just want to be like this for a while. Adriana buried her head in Cedric's chest. Adri, I am so proud of you. I've always known that you were capable of so much greatness. Cedric kissed Adriana's forehead and smiled. Suddenly Adriana's phone kept ringing. It was Ayana Reyes. She never saved Ayana's phone number, so she was wondering how the name reflected Ayana. Adriana asked tentatively. Adriana, congratulations. Are you happy about the girl's appearance today? Ayana giggled on the other end. It seems you have a well-wisher. I'll take a bath first, Cedric said, leaving his wife victim to his sister's call. Yes, I was surprised. Ayana, how? Adriana was about to ask a question when she was cut off by an excited Ayana. I didn't want to announce it, but Alicia Malls will be working with Islands Inc. as well, as long as you are VP for marketing and sales and they don't do anything to harm you, Ayana proudly announced. Thank you, Ayana, but do you have the power to decide that? Adriana asked. Hey, I'm not just some spoiled child, you know. I actually own 25% of Alicia Corp. And that's 15% more than my older brother, Ayana said in her own defense. I didn't mean you were a spoiled child. Ayana. Adriana laughed nervously. I know, but I can only be like this around people like you, people I really consider to be my friends. Around most people I have to be this strong and independent businesswoman. Sometimes I just want to be a 25-year-old girl, Ayana explained. I guess it comes with the pressure of your last name. I'm sure it wasn't easy to make friends. Adriana understood that there were certain expectations of people like Ayana and her friends. Yeah, it doesn't help that my brother keeps my sister-in-law away. Ayana complained to the very sister-in-law she was talking about. He's married? Adriana asked, purely out of curiosity. Well, it's complicated, but yes, the public just can't know yet. Ayana was shaking her head on the other end of the line. She didn't understand why her brother refused to tell Adriana who he was. I'm lucky I married a simple man. Adriana giggled. I doubt your husband is a simple man. He managed to get you, Ayana teased. Congratulations again, Adriana. I have to go now. I still have class. Bye. After the call, Adriana just stared at her phone. She was still wondering how Ayana Reyes' number managed to get saved in her phone. When they were about to sleep, Adriana placed her head on Cedric's strong chest. Something's on your mind? Cedric asked. Adriana. Adriana took a deep breath and sighed. I'm just glad that it's you that I love. Adriana said. Where is this coming from? Cedric was confused. Well, I was speaking to Ayana and she told me that her older brother is actually married and he can't even announce it. Even if we didn't have a church wedding. And just said our vows before a judge at least we never had to hide that we were married. It just wasn't announced. Adriana explained. I'm sure he is happily married. Cedric was telling the truth. I doubt. Didn't you hear the latest rumors? According to them, he has such an appetite for women that he always has a new one by his side. Whether or not those are true, could you imagine how his wife Must feel right now, all of those rumors. And all of those women chasing after her husband. Adriana frowned at the thought. He's a loyal guy, Cedric explained. Cedric, I never want to be the wife of some rich or popular guy who people keep talking about. I like things like they are. Now, I'm happy that you are just a simple guy, and even if my family is extremely complicated, I don't need to worry about rumors like that, or about girls trying to seduce you at work. I don't want a husband like that. I'm happy with the man I've loved for the past 8 years. Adriana said, hugging Cedric tightly. Adri, honey, I will always be me. No matter what. Cedric knew he couldn't promise her that he wouldn't be the man she had just described. The man she didn't want was the reality they would have to face someday, and the longer she didn't know who he was, the better it was. Cedric, I hate your boss. He makes you work so much. We both wanted to try for a child this year, but look at us, we are so busy with work, Adriana complained. Adri, this promotion was good for us, Cedric said with a smile. Well, I really don't like that boss of yours. He's so cold and arrogant. Even when talking to Ian he was so cold. And he dresses so extravagantly, such a waste. Even the house he is building is such a waste. It's too big, and I'm sure he's paying Veronica a fortune to design it. Ariana continued to rant. Cedric wanted to laugh. He was cold when they met because he was nervous and there were members of the press around. He dressed extravagantly because Ayana and his mother had bought all those clothes for him, and he was sure that Adriana loved the design Veronica had come up with, because he saw the look in her eyes. He's not as bad as you think, Cedric said, in a pathetic attempt to defend himself. I'm just happy that you are you, Adriana said, kissing him on the lips. What if I weren't me? What if I told you that I am secretly the heir? Cedric asked. That's impossible, Adriana laughed at Cedric's idea. Honey, think about it. We have the same last name. He appeared when I got promoted. I also suddenly got all that money from my parents. We have never been seen together. We also have the same build and hair color. Cedric was half hoping his wife wouldn't believe him. You're being stupid. Adriana, who just a moment ago was being sweet, turned her back on her husband. I've met the heir in person before, Cedric. Stop trying to make jokes. Why, how are we different? Cedric asked out of curiosity. You are kind and sweet and caring, he is cold and quiet, and he had this extremely scary aura wherever he went. Also his voice is different and he carries himself differently. Remember when he helped me at Nationalia? I would have known if you were him, Adriana explained. Why am I even answering your stupid question? You are my Cedric. I am happy with you and not him. My family will not think better of you if you were him. You don't need to impress them, you just need to know that I love you, and not even my family can separate us. Alright, I'll drop it. Cedric gave in and just slept beside his wife. Chapter 63. Blank. Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server. https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Over the next few days, Cedric and Adriana had to go to the office and back in separate cars due to how busy they both were. Cedric had already approved all of the expansion plans for more company. He had even moved Ian to head the expansion team, so Camilla had quite the workload on her hands. One day Cedric had to attend the groundbreaking ceremony for the new factory for Morco. He didn't attend alone, as a project that involved all 5 families. His friends and Nicole Chan went along. Interestingly, Ray Lawrence had brought along the Chu father and son duo, Edward and Mark, who in turn brought Katrina Chu and Asia Hernandez. When Cedric had spotted them, he raised his eyebrow to question Ray why they had been invited. We still back them, you know, and they are quite loyal. I think Mark would throw Asia off a cliff if I asked him to, Ray teased, although he had no doubt that Mark would probably do so if he asked. That Asia bitch is still going around as if she owns the place, Nicole commented as she arrived together with her older brother Miguel. Language, little girl, Alexi teased. She disgusts me, especially the way she treated Adriana. Doesn't she know her dad and brother are about to go away for a very, very long time? Nicole was furious. Calm down, Nicole. At this rate I feel like you'll get my revenge for me, Cedric teased as he patted Nicole on the head. They were quite far away from other people so they could speak freely. People however could still see them and whispered among themselves about how sweet the Reyes heir seemed to be. Treating Nicole Chan. There are many people here who would like to see you both succeed and fail. Cedric, Alexei warned. Let them talk, Cedric said with a laugh. There are 101 rumors going around about me now. It's odd that you are alone now, Alexei. First of all, I wouldn't bring some random girl to your event, Cedric. I was supposed to bring my sisters, but Natalia got invited to some nerd conference and Katerina had to fly last minute to America for some prince client of hers who just managed to get himself tangled in tax charges, Alexei said in an attempt to defend himself. Hey, Natalia isn't going to some nerd conference, it's the International Conference on Environment and Bioengineering. I'm actually going to follow tomorrow. It's being held in Dubai. Speaking of which, Ray, can I use your plane? Miguel said. No, use your own, Ray flatly rejected. But Ayana always uses one of your planes, Miguel complained. That's different, Ray replied. Can I have a seat in first class? Miguel tried his luck again. You need more than one seat, Miguel. I'm sure you need one for your assistant, and at least two for your bodyguards. Are you bringing an intern along? You usually do. So you actually need 6 seats, Ray complained. But you empty out whole planes for Ayana. You've known me longer, Miguel continued to nag his friend. Fine, 6 seats, nothing more, and don't delay the flight cause someone asked you to perform an operation, Ray said, giving into his friend's request. Camilla approached them and led them to the groundbreaking ceremony. During the event, Cedric couldn't help but feel that something bad was about to happen. Especially since Asia Hernandez and Mark Chu were there, but this was Cedric's territory. If they tried anything, it would only backfire on them. Multiple photos were taken of the 5 princes holding gold shovels doing the symbolic groundbreaking. This was the first project where these 5 famous personalities were all involved in collaboration. The event managed to draw all news outlets and even online bloggers. And of course Rams Network managed to snag an exclusive interview with the 5 princes. The interview was going to be conducted by John in an on-site office away from the crowd, which meant that Cedric could remove his disguise and give his answers comfortably. Nicole, who was slightly annoyed by the fact that the photo op involved her brother rather than her, joined the boys for the interview. Sirs, I promise to make this interview as short as possible, John said as the group took their seats. No worries, John, if you forget anything, Ram can just send us a message, Alexei teased. Hey, I'm a busy man too, Ram complained. His friends just laughed at him. Let's begin, Cedric calmly said. Mr. Reyes, what made you decide to build a project that involved all of your friends? John asked. I wanted to create something more than just a factory. I wanted to truly build a community, and Congressman Alexander Sebastian offered me the perfect location to build that. Cedric went on to explain how to build the community. Each of his friends offered to chip in and help. The questions that John asked were mostly on how Cedric planned to expand more as well as who was going to be leading the expansion. Nothing too sensational, but enough to get people curious. Sir, there are some questions that I'd like to ask that are a bit personal in nature. Please tell me if it's too much and I will remove them from the article, John said as he approached the final questions. Cedric just nodded, giving him permission. Sir, what do you think of Miss Adriana Hernandez Reyes? John asked the first sensational question. She's a very capable and promising woman, Cedric answered with a smile. What can you say about the rumors that you are a playboy? John asked. I'm a loyal type of guy, Cedric laughed at the last question. Why did you disappear for 13 years? John continued to ask, seeing as none of his questions had bothered Cedric yet. I was training to inherit the family business. I still am. More company is the first challenge I have to face, Cedric explained. That's all, sir, John said, double-checking his notes. Cedric placed his face mask and glasses back on and the group went back to rejoin the party. Chapter 64. Blank. 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 Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server, https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Blank. 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 Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence. Cedric spotted Edward Chu calling Ray as he and his companions approached. Mr. Chew, Ray said with a cold nod. In front of his family and friends, Ray had a naughty and charming personality, but when he was in public, Ray turned into a scary gang boss. Mr. Lawrence, we would like to congratulate you on a very successful groundbreaking, Edward Chew said as he offered a gift to his benefactor. Thank you, Mr. Chew, but it's not my project, it's Mr. Reyes here, Ray said as he accepted the gift. Congratulations, Mr. Reyes, and to you all as well, Mr. Sebastian, Mr. Abad, and Mr. Chan, Edward Chew said happily. Is this your man, Ray? Alexei asked. Yes, the Chews own a chain of drugstores I invested in, Ray said. Yes, Congressman, Mr. Lawrence has supported us a lot throughout the years. He is a very generous investor, Edward said in an attempt to further flatter Ray. If I may introduce my companions, this is my son Mark, he works at the family business, and my daughter Katrina, she will be working with us in the company. After she finishes her master's degree, she was very much inspired by your sister, Ayana Reyes, Mr. Reyes. She sees her as the ultimate model of her generation. Edward paused, waiting for Mr. Reyes to speak, but he only nodded when his sister was mentioned. And this is my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, Asia Hernandez. Edward continued, pointing at Asia, who was standing next to Mark. Aren't your dad and brother the ones Katerina just filed a case against? Nicole suddenly asked in a very bitchy tone. Miss, my father and brother are innocent, Asia calmly said. She didn't know who Nicole was, but she was with the 5 princes, making her assume that Nicole was an important person. Are you saying Katerina is representing a liar? 'Cause Katerina never represents people like that, Nicole said in defense of Katerina. Cedric already knew that Nicole was also trying to get Asia to embarrass herself. I didn't mean that, Asia stuttered. Nicole, dear, I'm sure Katerina can manage on her own. Besides, I filed those bribery charges, so you can believe me when I say they are 100% true. Alexei pretended that he was attempting to calm Nicole down. Mr. Sebastian, my father and brother are innocent, Asia insisted. Mr. Chew, I think you should bring Miss Asia elsewhere before she offends my friends, Ray warned Edward Chew. I am not going anywhere, Asia screamed. At this, people turned their attention towards the commotion. Miss Hernandez, are you saying that I am a liar, that the evidence we have collected against both your father and brother are false? At this point, Alexei seemed extremely scary to Asia, but she never backed down and always got what she wanted. Mr. Sebastian, my fiancé didn't mean that, Mark said in an attempt to avoid the conflict his fiancé was starting. Mr. Sebastian, my father and brother are being framed. They are good men. It's someone who wants to take power in Islands Inc., Asia still insisted. Asia, Edward Chew scolded. Sir, she's just going through something right now, Mark said, this time to Ray. Lawrence. Alexei isn't a forgiving man. She's accusing both him and his younger sister Katerina. Katerina and Natalia are the most important people to Alexei, Ray said in his continued distant tone. Camilla, Mr. Reyes suddenly spoke out. And everyone was silent. Camilla appeared beside her boss. Get security to take Miss Asia Hernandez out. I don't like people like her ruining my event. At his instructions, Camilla nodded and called over some guards. Mr. Chew, you may stay, since Ray can vouch for you, but your future daughter-in law must leave. I also recommend that Mark Chew breaks off their engagement. Mr. Reyes said to Edward Chew. It was the most that Mr. Reyes had spoken since coming out, and it was to advise Mark Chew to break off his engagement to Asia. Dad, you and Katrina stay. I'll accompany Asia. We'll wait for you outside, Mark said to his father, keeping his head down in embarrassment. After that, the group went on to talk to other guests. As a result of Asia's outburst, many guests were keen to show their trust in the congressman and his sister. Cedric wanted to laugh at the comments and praises many guests were throwing their way outside at the parking lot. Why did you have to run your mouth in front of them? Mark Chew shouted at Asia. It's that bitch's fault, Asia screamed back. That bitch, do you even know who you're calling a bitch? Mark was furious. Clearly Asia had no idea who she was going up against. She's probably just some slut that Congressman Alexander Sebastian is dating, Asia said, brushing off Mark's warning. That woman you are calling a slut is the heir to the Chan fortune. She's built more hospitals and clinics than you have shoes. And you have a ton of shoes. That's right. She's Nicole Chan, the sister to world famous Dr. Miguel Chan, one of the 5 princes. She has more power in her little finger than you have ever had. Mark had begun to wonder what he did wrong. Why he had ended up with such a useless fiancé. Asia gasped. She never expected that such a young-looking girl could be Nicole Chan. My dad wasn't happy with our engagement from the start. He didn't even tell any of our relatives. He accepted it when your father was in charge of Islands Inc. He was hoping that could bring some sort of collaboration, and at least you were still the daughter of the president of Islands Inc. Now you're just the daughter of some criminal. Mark was furious with what Asia had done. My dad and brother have not been convicted yet. Don't call them criminals, Asia said in an attempt to protect her father's and brother's name. 65 Chapter 65. Blank. 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 Enjoying never judge. Join my Discord server. https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Blank. 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 Do you even know who you are up against? Mark asked. Yes, and the truth will prevail, Asia said optimistically. The person that filed the charges is Katerina Sebastian. She never loses and she never takes on cases that can lose. The person that is accusing your father and brother of bribery is Congressman Alexander Sebastian. He's the president's son. Are you stupid? Even if your father and brother were innocent, you can't win, Mark argued. Asia stayed silent. For the first time there was nothing she could say to answer back. Wasn't it enough that you managed to anger the Sebastians when you visited more company? Did you have to get all 5 princes mad, including Mr. Ray Lawrence, who is my family's benefactor? If it weren't for that child in you, I would never have agreed to marry you, Mark shouted at Asia. I didn't choose to get pregnant, Asia said in an attempt to defend herself. You didn't. You drugged me at a party, took me to a room I didn't book. You insisted we get married as soon as you found out you were pregnant. You tricked me, Asia, Mark said, throwing the woman into the car. Be gentle, I'm pregnant, Asia shouted after hitting the seat. I'll be glad if you have a miscarriage, Mark shouted, slamming the door behind her. The parking lot was quite an open space with many cars parked. Mark had parked his car in a location that was not only near a driver's shed that had been set up, but it was also quite close to where many uninvited and invited reporters had gathered to discuss the story they were going to write about the groundbreaking event. They didn't expect that aside from the business news they would also catch Mark Chu and his fiancée Asia Hernandez arguing. Any news about Asia's family was currently high value, and news about her tricking Mark Chu to get pregnant was gold. It wasn't just the newspapers and news channels that would be enjoying this, even gossip bloggers would celebrate such a big scoop. As soon as they saw Mark Chu drive away, they began calling all of their bosses, one of which was Ram Abad. John had gone over to join the other reporters once his interview with the princes were done. He had gone from second-tier news reporter to one of Ram Abad's best. After getting the details from John, Ram called Cedric and the others to the side. He told them about the conversation the reporters and drivers had just heard. What do you want me to do about this? Ram asked Cedric. It's news, so report it. Cedric shrugged. Won't you suppress it since she's Adriana's family? Ram asked. I gave you the proof about her father and brother. I don't care about that branch of the family. They've done too much to Adriana, Cedric said in a stern tone. All right. Oh, and Nicole, she called you a bitch and some slut. Alexi is probably dating. What do you want to do about her? Ram asked. That whore, Ram, she's pregnant, right? Do you want exclusive proof? Nicole asked with a grin. Nicole, that's illegal, Miguel warned his sister. He already knew what she was planning. Well, she won't be able to file a case because Ray will stop Mark. She can't go to the Hernandez family because her daddy isn't in charge anymore. And I won't release it explicitly. It'll go online and within 5 seconds Ram's news outlet will pick it up. Nicole had already built a plan. In her head, she wasn't just some rich man's daughter. She was Nicole Chan. She ran Saints Hospital with her father. She was no pushover. Nicole quickly dialed a number and asked the other person to look for Asia's medical records. How sure are you that she even went to a Saints Hospital? Ram asked. 'Cause everyone goes to a Saints Hospital. Especially a social climbing bitch like Asia. Nicole said with a grin. Within 5 minutes of the call, Nicole received the documents and sent it to Ram. Nicole had someone leak the images when Ram said his reporters had made a fully approved story for posting on social media. Since it was a gossip news, it wouldn't make that night's telecast, but it would be all over social media. No one calls me a slut, and Alexei, seriously. That's disgusting. Nicole grinned ear to ear. I am not disgusting. Alexei attempted to argue, but they all knew that arguing with any of the sisters was useless. Cedric sent a message to Adriana. Cedric, I just heard that Asia is actually pregnant. Adriana, yeah, it seems she had a fight with Mark Chu in the parking lot and there were reporters nearby. Cedric, do you need to go to the old house? Adriana, no need, Uncle Frederick isn't in charge anymore, so it won't have a big impact. Cedric, isn't Asia still part of the management team? Adriana, yes, this will probably give Uncle Matthew the perfect reason to fire her. Cedric, I can't say I'm not happy. Adriana, honestly, I'm happy to get her out. She's been trying to take credit for my work. Cedric, be careful. Cedric put away his phone and looked back at the group. Well, Adriana just told me that Asia won't have the Hernandez's backing. They are still trying to recover from the change in management, Cedric told Nicole. The Chus wouldn't dare do anything. Right, Nicole asked Ray just to be sure. I'll warn them about who they will be up against, Ray said. Good, Nicole chirped. Camilla appeared and told Cedric that it was time for them to return to the city, since Cedric still had a lot of meetings. Ian, handle things here, Cedric instructed his former assistant who was with Camilla. Chapter 66. Blank, blank, blank. Enjoying Never Judge. Join my Discord server, https://discord.gg/pxnt6uh. Blank, blank, blank. On the trip back, Cedric went through a couple of reports coming from the directors at Morco. He wanted everything to run smoothly. Camilla, plan a celebratory party for the employees at the end of the year. Make sure that all our partners are invited as well, Cedric ordered. Will the 4 princes and the sisters be attending, sir? Camilla asked to clarify the guest list. Yes, Cedric agreed. Aside from being his friends, having famous people at a party didn't hurt. Sir, we just got a proposal for Constellations Resorts for a partnership, Camilla said as she looked through her emails. Huh, Constellations, the management. There should be more than capable of handling a simple partnership. Cedric was puzzled as to why Camilla brought it up. Sir, it's from Islands Inc. and the one that sent the proposal to us was your wife. Camilla explained. You should have led with that. Tell the management to give more and never less. If they are dealing with Adriana, Cedric said. We also found out that Adriana is working on a partnership with City Malls. Camilla reported. City Malls were the biggest competitor to Elysia Malls. They were half the size, but their locations were quite prime. Monitor it closely. I just want to keep the Elysia Malls partnership bigger than the one she is working on with City Malls. Otherwise let it be. Anything else? Cedric asked. She's also working on partnerships with Mr. Ray's rival airline companies, Camilla said. Tell Ray's assistant about it. They should be able to decide if they will work with Islands Inc. I can't really force them. Cedric would never directly order Ray to do anything that affected his business. Even the sisters had volunteered all the partnerships they gave during the press conference of Islands Inc. In Islands Inc.'s VP for Marketing and Sales office, Adriana had just moved to this room. It was on the top floor, the same floor as the president's office, and it faced Morco's building. Adriana couldn't help but look out the window and wonder what her husband was currently doing in the not-so-far-away building. She remembered John Hernandez's constant complaints that he had the worst view of all. At that time, More Company was just considered to be a small startup and everyone expected it to fold quickly. It came as a surprise to everyone when the news came out that More Company was actually a subsidiary of the Reyes Group and was currently being run by the heir to the Reyes Group. In a few years her view would become the most sought-after view, since the More Company building was going to be redesigned by Veronica. Adriana leaned back in her seat looking out the window. In her head she was imagining that her husband was also staring out one of those large windows, looking at her. She was pulled back into reality when several emails began popping up on her laptop. Subject: partnership with Constellations Resort. Dear Miss Adriana. We are honored to partner with Islands Inc. Please give us your soonest available